Hey everyone, Taylor. Today I'm going to give you guys my informative speech. And today I want to give you a simple but important overview of something we hear about all the time, but don't always fully understand. And that's the three branches of government. We see headlines about Congress passing a bill, the president making a speech, or the Supreme Court making a big decision. But what does it all mean? And more importantly, why is it designed this way? Well, at the heart of it is something called the separation of powers. This idea comes straight from the US Constitution, which divides our federal government into three distinct branches: the legislative, executive, and judicial. Each one has its own role, but they're all connected in a system designed to prevent any one branch from having too much power. An example I love is the three-legged stool. If one leg breaks, or if isn't the same size, the whole thing becomes unstable. So let's start with the legislative branch. This branch is the most directly tied to the people. It's made up of Congress, which includes two parts: the House of Representatives and Senate. Their job is to make laws, but it's not as simple as just writing a bill and calling it a day. There's debates, votes, committee hearings, negotiations. They also approve the federal budget, which is basically deciding how and where our tax dollars are spent. One of the more important things Congress also does is keep the president in check. For example, if the president vetoes a bill, Congress can override. It does take two-thirds majority. It's not an easy thing to do, but it forces cooperation and makes sure decisions aren't just made by one person or one group. Now let's move on to the executive branch. This is probably the branch that everyone is familiar with because it's led by the President of the United States. The president is often seen as the face of the country, but the role goes far beyond speeches and appearances. The executive branch is also responsible for enforcing laws passed by Congress. The president is also commander in chief of the military, signs and vetoes legislation, plays a major role in foreign policy, like negotiating treaties or responding to global events. But president doesn't work alone. This branch also includes the vice president and the cabinet, which is made up of heads of major departments like education, defense, health and human services. These officials help manage everything from national security to student loans. When you hear about the CDC responding to health crisis, that's the executive branch at work. Finally, let's talk about the judicial branch. This branch is made up of federal courts. At the very top is the Supreme Court. Their job is to interpret the law, in other words, to decide what law really means and whether they line up with the Constitution. And their power is huge. They can strike down laws passed by Congress or block executive actions if they believe they violate the Constitution. You might remember some big Supreme Court decisions, involving civil rights, marriage, equality, healthcare. And these rulings, they don't just affect the people in the case; they shape the lives of millions of Americans. And here's something important to remember too: the Supreme Court isn't elected; justices are nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate as they serve for life. This is meant to keep them independent and free from political pressure, but it also makes the nomination process a big deal because these decisions can echo for decades. Because each Why does this matter? Well, because each branch has powers that check each other. It's not about trust or distrust. It's about balance. The president can veto a bill, but Congress can override it. Congress can pass laws, but Supreme Court can declare them unconstitutional. The president picks federal judges, but the Senate must approve them. It's a constant back and forth that keeps the government working, but also keeps it from tipping too far in one direction. In conclusion, the three branches of government, legislative, executive, and judicial, they all work together in a system that protects our democracy. They each have different roles, but they're built to cooperate, check each other, and to represent the people in different ways. And while it may seem complicated at times, the system is actually one of the country's greatest strengths. It ensures that all the power is shared, that the laws are fair, and that our voices, every single one of them, matter in how the government works. Thank you.